Hello, everyone. Anybody out there? Sorry, I was a little bit late. I forgot about I was doing this, and all of a sudden 5 minutes, it went off of my alarm and my phone, and I went, so I had to run in and start her up. You're welcome, David. Dave. Let's see, where am I supposed to be? Here we go. Hello, can you hear me out there? How's everything? Can you hear me okay? Just want to make sure this thing's working. There we go. Okay, just want to make sure it's working. Howdy, everybody. Hope you had a good holiday, Christmas and Thanksgiving. I had a good vacation. I mean, I did have to do some work, but that's just the nature of the business. But, it was great. Everybody came home for Christmas and Thanksgiving, and we had a nice Thanksgiving and a nice Christmas. And I took a couple of weeks off, so it was really nice. So I hope everything went well with you. Happy New Year to you. Let's see, there's Cousin Dave, hello from Atlanta, Michigan Hosta Society. Welcome. Manaway, New Zealand. Wow, thanks for joining us, Jerry. The fun thing I remember about Manaway is they used to have a guy that always pull you over if you're speeding. He'd always get you. All righty, so welcome everyone. Thank you, glad you're here. I'm just going to go ahead and just start right in. We have some questions, not a ton, but some. I also noticed that Tegan was a little concerned because she said, I think I did something crazy. And I said, what did you do? And she said that she went to the page and asked a question. What do you wish that FamilySearch did, or something like that? I have to go look here what she said. Posts. So it said, I don't know if I see it in here. Okay, let me just close that out and we're ready to go. Here we go. If anybody, I'm fine intermingling some other questions live. So if you have a question or whatever, you can ask it. Hello from Australia, Mesa, Arizona. Thanks for joining. And from Alabama, we're all around tonight. Terrific. Okay, here we go. First question. I think this is from, let me see here, David. He says, I'm becoming more and more concerned about the wide disparity in the level of expertise in FamilySearch, particularly in Family Tree. There are many questions on the site that have been answered multiple times for a more experienced user, and yet can be complex for either new users, sometimes those without patience to learn a new program, and or new computerized processes for Salvation of the Dead. I'm wondering if some coordination between community and the nearest LDS Family Center can be made. HQ has stated that this site is monitored occasionally. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of local consultants whose talent, expertise, and abilities can be utilized for hands-on one-on-one training. Should this not be a major computer effort? However, might require better communication at the local level. Yours for consideration. So we always, even in the consultant area, we always have a spouse to do one-on-ones. That's always the best way to teach people how to do family history. Although family history centers aren't always available and there's not always consultants, of course, the hope is that there's consultants in everybody's ward, and those consultants should be available for both member and public users to help them. And certainly family history centers are open and available for anyone who wants to come and learn how to use the program and have that. Now, often family history centers have classes to teach people about family search and how to do that and family tree. It's a challenge. It really is a challenge, especially in the more complex things like merging, how to determine whether a hint is really about your person. This is stuff we're concerned about all the time. Every couple of weeks we meet together to figure out, is there something better we could do there to make it easier and be more accurate in the things we offer hints that are really great, or only show possible duplicates when it's a really amazing match. Those are some of the things we're thinking about and discussing how we could do that, because I think that it is somewhat difficult, especially for newer people. But somehow we have to help them understand how it works and teach them in the process, when they are given a hint or when they're given a duplicate, sort of walk them through that. And so that's hard, much harder to do. And but those are things that we're talking about, and we recognize that it can be a challenge. So good question. Okay, Carmel, Indiana, China Grove, North Carolina, welcome. Temecula Valley and Laverkin, thanks for coming. Okay, so that's that question. Yeah, I agree that we need to have something, and certainly I get plenty of encouragement from managers and so forth about we've got to figure out a way to make it easier and more understandable and help people evolve into doing a better job. Okay, this next one is Deborah. She says, I'm not selling anything here, but would the church be interested in a faster and inexpensive way to scan books? My son is a computer engineer, and he ran across this YouTube video about an inexpensive book scanner and brought it to my attention, and I'm bringing it to yours. Okay, so what I'm going to do there is I'll take this YouTube video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this right now. I'm going to open my emails. Hopefully this doesn't impact the Facebook Live that's going on. It shouldn't. So let me go in here, and I'm going to put that into an email to myself, and I'll go look at the YouTube video, and then I will share that information with those who do the records. Because there's a couple of things. One is we have the technology and systems to do that, certainly at FamilySearch at headquarters, in the FamilySearch buildings and up in Salt Lake and so forth. But certainly we also have a desire for people to be able to scan things. And we're always looking for ideas on what we could help provide people to scan images and pictures and things like that locally. We've had several people give us good ideas, and we've shared some of those. But all right, so let me just make this email here. All right. Facebook suggestions. Okay, there we go. All right, got it. Okay, thank you very much, Deborah. So this is Linda. She says, I like the idea of sending a thank you to people. That enhances parts of my tree. Is there a time frame that these enhancements have been made in the last month, year, or whatever? Just wondering, because people are busy in the trees. So we actually don't have a thank you per se, where you just click a button and it sends a thank you. You can always send a message to the contributor that put in that information by just clicking on their contact name. and there's a little paper airplane looking thing on the field, and you just click that and you can send them a message. We've been doing some thank yous, but it's been in the records area for recently, where if you come across an index record and you felt like it was helpful, you could push a button and it would send a thank you to the person who extracted that, who indexed that record. And I think that's been great. And those who are doing that for free and helping us out, they certainly deserve our thanks. Thanks for those things. So that's what we've been doing currently. But I'm going to take that one too, and I'm going to say, okay, that's something that maybe we ought to consider. I was kind of waiting and letting them in the records area do it first, and then we'll see how well it's doing. And it's actually doing very well. People are very happy about it, and they enjoy giving the thanks. And certainly the people who are receiving the thanks are very appreciative. Okay, so we have, Linda has another one here. In a Family History Center on the portal, we have access to newspapers.com. However, someone said we don't have all access to it. Is that true? The answer is yes. Newspapers.com has never been fully available to people from the Family History Centers. It's been, when you go to newspapers.com, if it's your first time, I think you get a free 30-day trial of it automatically. But eventually, when you keep coming back, it will require you to pay for access. Do you know how this is determined, what info we can see? I think it lets you see everything for 30 days, and then after that, you can't see anything. It says Ancestry.com shows the indexed part of an obit and says it's in newspapers.com. However, when we go there, it doesn't show that it is available. Yeah, that's probably because you've expired your 30 days. And if that's a concern and you have an Ancestry account, by the way, and you believe you should have access, you ought to contact Ancestry.com and ask them why you're not able to see the newspapers.com stuff. That's what I would recommend doing that. Okay. I'm going to pull back here and see if anybody has any questions that they've brought up. So Gary says, when will we be able to get hints from FamilySearch again in Roots Magic? It has been down for over a month. I'm not aware of any problems there at all. Let me make a note here. Issues with Roots Magic showing hints. I'll go ask the partner team if that's an issue that they're aware of. Yeah, thank you, Gary. How important is it to have Windows 7 upgraded to 10 in our family history centers? Well, if it's a family history center that's managed by FamilySearch, we'll upgrade the machines if it's necessary. If it's your own personal machine, I don't think there's any reason for you to upgrade unless all of a sudden the machine quits working or the software you want to put on it, such as Ancestral Quest or something like that, doesn't work on it. But I think they all work still on Windows 7. Windows 7 is pretty old, but I don't think you have to. But remember, if it's supposed to be a family history center that's managed by FamilySearch, they should be taking care of that. And you can call support and ask them that, and they'll get you over to the people that take care of Family History Center computers if you have that particular question. Nancy, it seems to me that research and finding multiple sources is a big struggle for new people. Oh, I'm sure researching is probably one of the hardest concepts because most new people don't even really know what a record is. And so that's some of the issues that we're examining on how to educate people on knowing what a record is and figuring out how to give them a hint. I'd like to personalize it, give them a hint that's a easy hint for the very first one and then walk them through it and stuff like that. I think the issue we have is that new people need to be trained, and a lot of them are just logging into FamilySearch because they don't know about family history centers. They're public users that don't know about the availability of helpers. And so they just come in and they're just learning by trial. And we've got to make it so as they're doing stuff, they're being taught. That's pretty tough, and it's fairly complex to mold that into the site so that it's not interfering with the actual program, so it's not in your way. Okay. Audio issue again. Really, you're still having audio problems. Is audio okay? Tell me right now if it's coming up okay. Okay. Security support for Windows 7 has stopped. Yeah, you have to get the free up. You probably ought to get the free upgrade to 10. I would agree. If you can get a free upgrade, I'd do it. Of course, your machine may not be. It should be. If it does 7, it probably can handle 10. Let's see. Move up here about a question. I have a question about memories putting pictures on it. Don, could you ask more about what that means, what you're asking there? Lorraine says, how much access do we have in Ancestry to LDS members? If you're an LDS member and you get the free account that's offered to you by Ancestry, my understanding is you get the world, it's called the world access. That's not everything, but that's my understanding is it should be equivalent to the world access that you would have paid for. Okay, and Nancy is saying there are some public libraries that have paid for newspaper.com, and you could try using them. Okay, so it looks like the audio is working right now. I don't know why that would have been a problem. I wonder if there's something wrong with my microphone here or something. Okay, I'm going to go to another question that was submitted. And it says, this is from Daniel. It says, I attach sources in a family history center that are only available to see there. Once they are attached, when is it possible to see the sources from outside of a family history center? I have never seen that capability with any record collection. Once attached, they are still restricted to being viewed at a family history center. Is there a way to tell? Collaborators can't open them, so they ignore the sources when disputes arise. So the deal we have is that when any source is attached to a person in a tree, then everyone should be able to see that source until it's detached. Okay. So Daniel, could you send me an email at ron, R-O-N, at FamilySearch.org and tell me the collection that you're talking about and maybe even the specific image or whatever that you were putting on, and I'll look into that, because it's supposed to be as soon as it's attached to somebody in FamilySearch, then it should be visible to everyone. Just that source, not the whole collection. Okay. So Daniel, if you're out there, appreciate it if you would send me an email on that one. Nancy says, is there any way to hide or delete a reason that you gave for a live sketch that someone else posted and you deleted because it had living information in it? Nancy, no, there isn't any way for you to do that, but you can call support and tell them the PID and the issue, and the support has the power to be able to hide an entry in the change log. So they'll look at it, you tell them why you're concerned, they'll review it, and if they agree, which I'm sure they will because it has living things in it, then they'll hide it from the change log. Okay. If you don't get a satisfactory answer and you still feel it needs to be taken care of, you can send me an email with the PID and which entry you want to have removed or hidden. Then I'll take care of working with support to see what's up. Okay, Monique has, I have a question about the numbers in our temple tab. How are the numbers calculated? I add the numbers from printed, not printed, and shared, but the number is less than all reserved. Oh, you're talking about the numbers on the temple tab in your personal thing. That should add up pretty good. Let me go look here at mine. I'm going to sign in the FamilySearch here. Go look at my temple tab. I believe they should add all up, but all reserves should be. Oh yeah, I won't add up because printed and not printed. Let's see, 19. That's 20. Yeah, the printed could end up showing a funky value, a value that you wouldn't expect, because you could have printed multiple cards, I guess. Let me see here, because I'm looking at mine and it says 20 when I should only have 19, because I only have 19 on the all reserved. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's right. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Huh, the not printed doesn't look like it's correct. Oh yeah, there it is. 11, 12. So that's correct. I'll have to look into that. Let me go look at that. I'm going to put that on my email to check. So let me get Monique on there. And I'll ask my guy why that would be the case. All righty. Okay, next question. This is kind of a longer one. Let's see what it says. All right, let me see here. Next one is from Deborah. It says, this question is from my mother. She transfers information from Ancestry to FamilySearch, and all the sources automatically go to her source box. She's got more than 50,000 in her source box, and she'd like a way to delete them all. Delete them all at once, since even using the select all option is going to take her forever to get rid of them. Yeah. That's because the way Ancestry is bringing it over, it automatically puts it in your source box. So you have a ton of source box. There is a select all button. So you should be able to select all, push the select all button in there. And then you could say move, and you can throw it into a folder. Or you can do remove. So you can click unselect, you can click select all. That's at the top, right under create source on your source box. There's a select all button, and you just click that, and then you click remove. And what that will do is it will remove it from your source box list. It will not remove it from the person that it's attached to. It'll just remove it from your source box so you don't look at it. Okay? It'll put it in your, let me see what all, it'll put it in your all. It'll still be in your all, but you won't see it in your source box normally. Okay? So there is a select all, and then you can say remove, and it will get rid of all of them. Okay? So that's how you take care of that one. Okay, the next one, this one's longer. This is Lee. He says, living records on FamilySearch tree, conversion to deceased in the future. I have entered many records for living extended family members on FamilySearch tree with full sourcing, family links, etc. If I were to pass away tomorrow, is there a method for those records to be reviewed, revised by someone else over time? The answer is yes. What we're going to do is, if for some reason, when you pass, we get notified if you're a member of the church, And what we'll do is periodically we will run a piece of software against your private area, and anybody who's over 110 years old, 110 years or older, we will mark them deceased on your behalf. Okay, so they will go into the public family tree because you put good information in there, and many people have, and then they'll just be moved into the public area, marked deceased, and then they'll show up as possible duplicates that people will have to merge if that person already exists in the tree. Says many of these folks in these living records won't live another decade. Most aren't church members, so the records won't update to deceased via the church membership system. I hate to see their information lost. And he asks if there's a designated survivor in your family that can or will gain access to your records on Family Tree after you have passed away or become incapacitated. There has been several people that have asked for bequeathing kind of property. We have talked about a bequeathing early on. We haven't got back around to working on or really studying that well because of the features we're trying to complete. We're still working on, but that is a possibility. We've talked about it. Although it gets a little bit of a weirdness because, we'd have to figure out a way for a person to go into your private area and not be in theirs. So it's still something on our list, but we haven't done anything about it. Okay, let me see what else here I got. A reminder for them could also be like a calendar alarm for the survivor. Lastly, is there anything between church membership records, update for deceased, and for a fully linked record for the same person in our persona sandboxes on Tree? Yeah, currently a membership record. Actually, that's a good idea. So I copied that into my thing because the people that we put in your private space, like your living family that come from membership records, we know that they came from a particular membership record and which one. And so the thoughts we have right now, if we can hope to get to it, would be that when that person is marked deceased, we would actually give you a message inside of your screen when you're looking at your private people and say, hey, this person here has been marked deceased by membership. And then would you like us to mark it? And you say yes. We mark it, and that would move them to the deceased area, to the public area. So those are some things that we've been talking about. We haven't been able to get going on in order to help people manage that. We're also thinking about in the list service, you say list, you see change log things for the ones you watch, and that's what's on the list. We're also thinking about a list that would give you all of your private people in a list so that you can look at it, sort it by name, pick somebody and go right to that person in the tree in your private area. And that, I think, will help you find living people that may be getting old enough to where you can maybe find a record for them that they become deceased. Okay, so there was yeah, okay. Oh, okay, well, Sherry says because if it gets merged, but I would think it'd have to be merged to two people in the same, two people that are in your list. So that, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look and see why it would add up weird. Yeah, so Kathy's saying, are we supposed to be seeing the indexes or the images? And I think we're supposed to see both. If we have access, if we have rights to the images to show people, then we should show them both. The very minimum, we should show the index. So, and several people now are saying that they've never been able to see any of these records attached, even though they attached them in a family history center. So Dolly says, if I see photos that are added to FamilySearch, I always take the extra step of adding to my own memories, assuring that the pics photo can remove, so someone can remove a photo anytime, and then I no longer have that. Is that a correct assumption? So Dolly, if you're the person who put this picture into your gallery, and then you attach it to a person in a tree, if somebody removes that picture from that person, it doesn't disappear from your gallery. So you should be able to go in and reattach it to that person. It shouldn't disappear from your gallery. Now, if that picture was not something you uploaded, but somebody else uploaded, then you wouldn't know that, and you couldn't reattach it because it's not in your album. So you can do, instead of necessarily downloading and uploading, you could do likes, although if the owner deletes it, then it'll still go away. So select all only selects the 24 sources, 25 sources at a time. Okay, thanks, Kevin. I don't have that many in my source box because I don't have it added when I go to attach things. It says, what pictures, Don says, what pictures can and should you put in memories in living individual? That's your choice. Remember about memories is everything you put into memories is publicly viewable, meaning anybody on FamilySearch can see it, and anybody who comes to FamilySearch, they don't even have to be logged in. If they have a link, if somebody shares a picture with somebody else and they come on that link, they'll see that picture even if they're not logged in or they're not a registered user or logged in, they'll see that picture. So, and also remember, if you tag somebody in memories that's living, we will not show that living name to anybody but yourself. Okay, so that's to protect the identity of that living person. So if you have a picture with 4 people in it, 2 are deceased and 2 are living, you can put a tag on every one of them, but everybody else will only see the 2 tags that are about the deceased people. So remember that, and if there's something that's sensitive or you're uncomfortable other people seeing, then don't upload it yet. We have been discussing concepts of private memories and things. We'll see how it goes. We think that there are things that people want to preserve that they may not want to allow anybody to see until maybe after they're deceased or something. Yeah, Deborah, I understand your mom's problem. I don't think I have a good answer for you right now. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, okay. So Robert, they've released that. So he's saying, love that you can now see third cousin once removed on relationships in the tree. And that's great because we said we would do that. I hadn't known that they've released it. I imagine they just barely did so. And thanking contributors is always a great thing. Those are for records. If the pictures aren't tagged or titled, if they have no description and no title, then they wouldn't find them in the find, because that's all we look at is the title. Anything in the title and anything in the first set of characters and the first 50 or 100 characters in the description. And eventually we're going to fix that so it's a little bit more richer, but it'll still be title and description have to have data in it for people to find it. So that is a little side thing you could do to keep your memories from being found. Although if you hand out the link, it's still visible to them through the link. Okay, Julia says, when a hint comes up and it is the same or almost the same as a source I already have, if I dismiss it or say not a match, will the program not send me any more hints for that person? I have so many duplicate sources. Yeah, if you take a source and you have something else that's kind of like it and you don't attach it to that person and you say not a match, then the developers take a sampling of that not a match and use that data to go figure out why we gave you a hint that wasn't really about that person. So that's a problem. If you do a lot of non-matches, then they'll say, oh, we really messed up here in our algorithms. So we'll have to change it so that no one will ever get any kind of matches like that to that person. So you are impacting the program because we look at those not a matches to judge how well we're doing on providing good hints. So what we currently recommend is that you just go ahead and attach that duplicate source. You're not going to run out of room adding the sources. And now that you can rearrange them however you like manually, or you can sort them by date. And so it doesn't hurt to have the sources there. I realize that it gets a little bulky. We have a couple of ideas of what we want to do to help you collapse sources together that are the same source. Not like similar, but if they're identical sources, then we want to provide a way for you to collapse those. But until then, we're encouraging people to just go ahead and attach it. So you don't run into that issue of having the engineers think that their algorithms aren't working right, and so they convert them, and then you don't get good matches for your people. And yeah, Jesse, if your memory is in an album, the key is if you have a memory inside of an album and there's attached things from that album into somebody else, somebody can go look at the album, and so they'll see everything in the album. So yeah. Facebook Messenger will no longer allow FamilySearch to use social messenger for this. Yes. Okay, Monique, that's a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing you brought that up. So yes, you should, if you've used Facebook Messenger bot to get things like, birth, marriage, and death events, Facebook has decided that they are not going to allow businesses to use the Facebook bot. So, or at least our business anyway, they've changed their policies and said that we're not going to allow that. And so consequently, we are required to stop using the Facebook bot. So that's a Facebook decision. It wasn't because we violated any policies or anything. They just decided that they're not going to allow that to happen anymore. So we are in the process of turning off our work with the Facebook bot because we're not allowed to do it anymore due to Facebook's policy. So if you're frustrated by that, you can certainly tell Facebook. I don't know if that'll change anything, but it's not anything we wanted. We had plans for a whole lot more going through the bot, but they've decided that we can no longer use that bot. So we are stopping that. Deborah, yeah, your laptop doesn't have to, when you go to a Family History Center, you're using the Family History Center's wireless connection. When you do, it's as if you're in the Family History Center, which you would be because you're close enough or sitting in the room on your own laptop and you're using the Wi-Fi there. So that's why your laptop would look like a family history computer. So how do you know that somebody's cremated, Lee is asking. So the way you do that is you put in the death, you can put in the burial, wherever the canister was put, or if there isn't one. And then you go to the other information section on the person page. When you do, there's an event in there called cremation. So you select the cremation one, put in the date and the place that they were cremated, and that's how you can specify that they were cremated, is in the other information section, because it's an attribute of the death or burial, I guess it is. I don't understand what you're asking for, Charles. I don't know if I explained the 110. So if you have living inside of your private area, when those people turn 110 years old in the system because you gave them a birth date, it would mark them as living or as dead. So I'm not sure why. Well, yeah. So if you're deceased, we're not going to let you opt in or opt out. I don't think of any persons in the tree. I hadn't thought about that one, but it seems like it doesn't hurt anything to have a light the duplicate. It's pretty quick for people to merge it if there's not much data on it. You're just using it for bookmarking, I guess, huh? Keep track of relationships that have no real research value. No, okay, yeah, Facebook is doing it to all businesses, Amy. Thank you. So no businesses can use Facebook Bot anymore. Facebook Bot, Deborah, is a application that allowed you to subscribe to notifications, and then the company or sports or whatever thing you were interested in would send you periodic messages and notifications through the Facebook Bot, which just basically posted things to you or sent you emails, things like that. I think it had choices there. Okay, I just want to look and see if there's any more questions here. How do you record ashes being thrown at sea? I would just put that in the notes. I would put them there dead. The burial happened on this day, and I'd put in the reason statement. I'd say they were buried at sea, or they had their ashes thrown on the beach of Hawaii or wherever place they had, or they were buried at sea on this ship, military ship or whatever. You can't. Place, the burial at sea will not be an appropriate place. So you just need to put that in the reason statement. Okay. All right, let's see, next one here. I have, can you provide the list or a link to the list of validity checks performed by Ordinances Ready? I think you did that on a prior live session, but I can't seem to find it. I found the search sequence, but not the criteria. I'm surprised that we don't have it out there in some marketing area on Ordinance Ready. I mean, just somebody out there could do a quick look over in the blog section. It would be there. I think there's an Ordinance Ready blog that's pretty comprehensive in the set of stuff that they talk about. Let me go see if I can find something here. Put a link out there or something. Search blog, Ordinances Ready. Okay, there is a blog about Ordinance Ready. Talks about how to run it, and then read more about temple ordinances and reservations. Well, maybe we'll have to think about putting that out there. I'll have to make a note of that. Let me go put that in there. I'm gonna put that in my email. So talk to marketing about it, see if that's something we want to do. Okay, but the way Ordinance Ready works is when it's searching for things, once it finds one that you may be related to, for instance, then it examines the person and says if it qualifies. So that still has to qualify, which means it has appropriate names. It has a place, a birth or a death place, or both, and it doesn't have any data problems. So that means it doesn't have a problem like birth after death, or born after the mother died. Any of those kind of problems that you see as exclamation marks as a data problem, it can't have any of those. It has to qualify and meet all the qualification rules, and have ordinances that are needed to be done for the ones you've requested. Okay, that's when it is looking at it to find it, to put it on your reservation list. Does the same checks even on your reservation list, I believe, because that data could change and then become not qualified again. So that's basically the rule. Any data problems, and it has qualification. It qualifies properly. I think that's the basic amount. If someone's remembering more, but I think that's all it is. Okay, so next thing. This is Shelly says, I see Find a Grave many photos that have been submitted by family members or others, and I wonder if it is okay to copy and paste those pictures into memories on Family Tree. Does FamilySearch Tree have an issue with doing this? So far, I haven't done it, but I've seen some great photos of people that I wish could be on Family Tree. I think somebody will have to help me out there. I know we don't have any kind of specific agreement with Find a Grave on allowing people to have those pictures over on FamilySearch. Pretty sure that's true. We don't have that agreement. It's really a copyright issue, and I believe that the person who owns the copyright is actually the person who took the picture. So I know that it would probably be appropriate if you contacted the person. There's a way for you to contact the person on Find a Grave and ask them if it's acceptable to them. Email them and ask them to reply if it's acceptable for you to post that picture, take that picture and post it on FamilySearch.org. I think that's probably the path you have to go. And I'll take this and go double check with our partner team to see if we have any deal with Find a Grave where it's acceptable. But for sure, the photographer, the person who took the picture, is the one who owns the picture. So that's your safest bet. All righty, let's see how we're doing here. Will the invert colors option ever be available on the person page review? The white screen is hard on the eyes during long sessions on the site. I understand. We are in the process of having to convert to some new technology because the technology we were using before has been deprecated. We were using some Google technology. So we'll be moving to a new technology, and I believe that that is something that is being considered for the tree. So I'm going to take a snap of that, Drew, and go and double check on that. So here we go. All right, so let's go to another question. This one's from Terry. It says, I asked this on the suggestion board, but cannot locate it, so think it did not post correctly. How long should we wait for names shared with the temple to finish before we assume they are stuck? I know you said this was being fixed. Is that coming soon? I hate to unreserve and then re-reserve a name that has already been waiting over 5 years to finish if the fix is coming soon. Okay, so the fix is coming. We expect that to be this year, probably middle of the year, where we'll have that fix. As soon as that fix is done, then there's not going to be any that get stuck. Now, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to finish faster than 5 years. It depends on the ordinance that you're sharing and the number of people who go to the temple, right, and use either temple printed ordinances, or they're using Ordinances Ready to find ordinances within the tree. I've had feedback from plenty of people that say when sharing it with the temple and people do Ordinances Ready, they're seeing lots of their ones they've shared with the temple get done quicker. But there are some ordinances that have a big pile. I mean, it seems like a lot of people like to do initiatories, and they like to do sealings, and probably because they're a shorter time frame. You can go do initiatories in 45 minutes. You can do sealings in an hour, and endowments can take longer, and baptism and confirmation, people don't want to get their hair wet and all that kind of stuff. So there's all sorts of condition that causes whether or not a particular ordinance, whether a particular ordinance gets completed or not. And so I'm not guaranteeing that it'll be necessarily faster, but it certainly won't be stuck anymore, Terry. So you should expect that sometime in the middle of the year that we have that fixed. It's a good question to keep in mind, so I'll try to remember that next time. And I'll try to remember that when I hear that this is fixed, and then I'll bring it up in my next Facebook Live after that. Okay, here's another. This is from James. He says, how can I find ancestors for maternal lines? In a family tree, there are 4 direct line father-son generations. Each of one of these is married to a spouse that is probably related to the other spouses through a common ancestor. They are all cousins. 4 male, well, okay, this is something I'm going to have to take offline and go look at. He's got particular PIDs. Yeah, he's asking, is there a way, like Find My Relationship, to see a common maternal direct line ancestor for the spouses? We aren't, there isn't anything like that we have. Yeah, so we don't have any feature to go back and say, find me the common ancestor of all of these PIDs and do that. I'd like to understand more about why you're wanting that. And I'd like to understand how that may help your research that you're doing, because I don't really understand why looking and finding the common maternal ancestor would help you in any of that per se. Yeah, David, I don't know about that. Sign away your rights when you do the pics. You agree to post them on Find a Grave. I'd have to go dig around and find a grave, and it may be wise for others to look too and see if there's a way, if they say anywhere that this is now owned by Find a Grave and you're free to take them. Recently, the portrait pedigree isn't showing the portraits. Is that a known issue? I'm not aware of that problem at all. Let me go look real quick over here. I'll look at mine. I'll go to tree, and then I'll go to the portrait view. I mean, it's possible. We're always updating code. Portrait. My portrait view shows pictures just dandy. I suspect that you have turned off portraits in your options button. So on the right hand side, top right hand corner under help others, there's an options button and you can turn off portraits. My guess is you probably turned off those portraits and you need to go back into the options and check that box so that it will come back, because it seems to be working just dandy when I tried it just now. Let's see. David Carr says, interesting though that when I contacted Find a Grave, they made it clear that if people voluntarily post photos on memorial pages, Find a Grave considers these photos as public domain use. Okay. It would be interesting, to see that email, but thanks for the information. Is there a way to edit a name that was indexed as unknown? Not currently, but of course, we're continuing to add different collections into the set that allows you to do corrections of names. So I would believe that eventually you would be able to edit an unknown to, the right name if that gets built on that particular collection. Okay, so Diane says there are several people on my reserve list that have been shared and printed by a temple, so it's Ordinances Brown, that have been that way for many months. Are they stuck in a file somewhere in a temple? Yes, I don't know if it's per se stuck, and it shouldn't be stuck. So how long? Months, huh? What's supposed to happen in the temple is every day each temple prints a new list for them to replenish their stock of ordinances for people who come to the temple without a card. And they use those every day. They use each of the sets every day. And every 2 weeks, they're supposed to return all the ordinances back to the shared list and print new lists. So I guess I should say it a little differently. When a temple starts up fresh, like it's been rededicated or something, they print new lists, and they print 10 days worth of lists. And then each day when somebody comes in and says, I need a temple card, they take the list for that day, and they hand out stuff for that list. Then what's supposed to happen is at the end of that, I guess they take that week. They have 4 weeks worth. They take that week out, they hand it out, and by the end of that week, if they didn't use everything on that list, they're supposed to return all of those ordinances back to the system so that they get recycled around, right? So they're not stuck on paper. And then they print a new list the next day when they come in, and they put that as list number, the bottom of the list. So now it's the 10th day or whatever. If that's a daily list, so it'd be the 10th day. And then this one here they hand out, and if they don't use them all, they're supposed to return it, and then the next day they come and print a new list down there. So now that one's there. That's what's supposed to happen. So I would, if you know what's temple, you can tell me what temple it is. You can email me, ron@familysearch.org. Tell me what temple it is. Remind me what this problem was. And but once they're printed, it means that they actually got printed on a paper list in the temple. And if that temple is not following that process, then I can let the temple department know, and then they can chase you down and make sure that there's some proper training there. So you can send that to me. I'll take care of that. All right, I think we're winding down. Let me just look and see if there's any more in here. Okay, that is kind of weird, Kevin, about the standardized stuff. I will go check with that team that's doing that and see why they're not doing it just a little bit different. Barbara, the other day I found 2 names that showed a 3-year expiration date instead of 2. Please explain. I can't explain. Barbara, you need to go show me those entries in your reservation list. So please send me an email with the picture of your reservation list and tell me which PIDs in that list are the ones you're concerned about. Oh, that's true, Amy. Those could be ordinance ready, but she said for months, so that seems a little odd to me. All right, Find a Grave, community rules. Do not reproduce, copy, sell, or otherwise distribute any portion of Find a Grave website or database contents, or systematically download contents and data to make or populate another database. So it seems like we have conflicting messages from Find a Grave. Okay, everyone. Well, it's after 8:30. It's 8:31. Thanks for hanging around. As always, please come to the site anytime you have a question and just put it in the entry, and we'll start from where we left off, and we'll start those questions. Our next live, I think, is in 2 weeks. Let me go look it up here. I think it's the 23rd. So our next Facebook Live is the 23rd. Please share and tell others, if you think this is helpful and they could use the help, then certainly let them know, and let's have them join us and ask the questions so that we can all learn together. Thank you very much for everything you do. You all are wonderful, and you donate so much of your time and effort, and I really appreciate it. So have a good evening, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.